Welcome to the Friends of Zane Adams, aka FOZA podcast, bringing awareness of postpartum depression, suicides, and the children who are left behind. We'll be spotlighting positive outcomes from mothers as well as healthcare experts and counselors. Would you know the signs of PPD? Would you know how to help a loved one? Stay tuned. As a community, we can do more to support maternal mental wellness.
Welcome, FOZA fans, and thank you for joining us again on a new FOZA podcast. This is Paulette Smith with episode 33. Here at FOZA, we're always looking for dynamic speakers who advocate for maternal wellness. We focus on awareness of postpartum depression, the prevention of maternal suicides, and the education for the children who are left behind. And we include medical health and mental health professionals, doulas, social workers and caregivers, child health care consultants, financial consultants, grantors, and sponsors, and everyone who is taking any action that helps make us stronger in our efforts to bring about more awareness. Just visit our website and click on Podcast Speaker to get started. Our website is FOZAinc.org. And if you're not quite ready to get in front of the mic, that's okay. You could still be of tremendous help because every time you share a link or a hashtag, it broadens the chances that a mom who's feeling down will look up and reach out for help. So thank you so very much for your continued support. Before proceeding, I need to say a few words about triggers. This is a safe place. However, we may discuss topics that can be sensitive and may act as a trigger for some members of our audience. The content we discuss serves to provide information, education, and advocacy only. If you are experiencing an emergency, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. That's 988. If you're not experiencing an emergency, but you're seeking consultation, please check with your doctor or professional caregivers. And if you feel as if your voice is not being heard, please don't give up. Don't give up seeking help. Visit us online at FOZAinc.org. That's FOZA Inc.org. And we'll try to assist you in finding resources in your local area. You're not required to provide any private or sensitive information. Our guest today, FOZA fans, Marie Boone-Clark. She's the founder and managing director of Birthing the Magic Collaborative. This is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that's dedicated to providing evidence-based, culturally humble education covering all aspects of pregnancy, childbirth, postpartum, and infant care. She served as key liaison to a variety of prestigious medical professional associations, such as the American Academy of Pediatrics, the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology, the National Medical Association, and the National Association of Neonatal Nurses. Marie is also the co-founder of Antonia and Grace Motherhood Concierge, which offers a holistic approach to maternal support services. Now today, she's here to give us insight from research on a subject that can be obscure and have devastating effects. The attention is on Melanated Mamas. This includes all Black women, femmes, and non-binary persons who identify with Black womanhood. The topic is the Superwoman Schema, authored by Dr. Cheryl Giscombé. Today, Marie is here to shine light on this shadowy subject and tell us how her organization, Birthing the Magic Collaborative, is closing the gaps in disparity by bringing knowledge and understanding to the community. Welcome, Marie, to the FOZA podcast. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Paulette. I am doing wonderful. I'm excited to chat with you and to meet your audience.
And they are going to be so delighted that they met you. Those who don't already know you, I know you have a great footprint, but we're delighted to have you and your energy. It's so contagious, and I just want the FOZA fans to get into it. So please continue the introduction of yourself
and your wonderful organization.
Well, thank you. My name, for those who don't know me, and it's probably a much larger audience than Paula is kind enough to imply, but my name is Marie Boone-Clark, and I'm the founder and executive director of Birthing the Magic Collaborative, and I currently reside in Scottsdale, Arizona. And I'm the grandmother of two wonderful twin, boy-girl twins who are 4 years old, 4 going on 40.
Me too. I'm the grandmother of a 4-year-old going on 40.
So you immediately envision what I'm talking about, right?
When you have two 4-year-olds going on 40, I cannot imagine that. But so much fun, though. So much fun, I know. And such a blessing. I just want you to start out by telling us the story of Birthing the Magic Collaborative and a little bit about its ongoing journey.
Oh, well, thank you. I spent many, many years, Paulette, working for a pharmaceutical company, and I tell people that I was blessed to play a doctor on TV. I had the opportunity to peek over the shoulders of some amazing researchers, practitioners, and learned a lot about perinatal health and pediatric nutrition. But it was in a project that I was in Houston that I met a perinatologist that had been brought in to look at the maternal mortality rates in Texas. And at the time, the focus was on Latinx women. And I'll never forget the moment she was doing a presentation and she started to highlight the maternal mortality rate of Black women in Texas. And I sat there I still feel that energy of fear because I'm the mother of a Black daughter. And she was at that age where she had met the proper young man, and like any Southern mother, I was looking forward to grandbabies. And as she started to have that discussion, it's like, I'm not entirely sure that I want her to go through this now, right? And so fast forward, my daughter got married to that proper young man, and they decided they wanted a family practice. And because, as I'd mentioned, I peeked over the shoulders of some amazing people, we were able to build a wonderful care team for her. And she defied all of the statistics. She checked so many boxes with having a multiple birth and that sort of thing, but did not live up to that data, and had a wonderful pregnancy, wonderful birth. The babies were carried to 37 weeks and weighed over 6 pounds each. And what it highlighted for me is that with the proper care team, Black women can have a magical birth. And from there, we founded Birthing the Magic Collaborative because I saw firsthand that we don't necessarily have to experience the challenges that so many Black birthing people face.
What a wonderful story. And I'm so proud of you and your family, and I feel so much love for you and just so happy for your blessing.
Oh.
It's just amazing. And, you know, when I went to your website, which is absolutely gorgeous, FOZA fans, you got to get out there to the website. Everything about it is just a touch of beauty and class, and I loved it. And of course, we went through it, and I went through it personally, and one of the most magnetic points of information we found on the site was actually an article that you had put on your site that was written by a Black woman, Dr. Cheryl Giscombé, and regarding something called the Superwoman Schema. I had never really heard of that, and I started researching, and she has a big footprint, but I want you to tell us in your own definition why you put that on your site and what that meant to you. I'm going to talk about the 5 characteristics that she found, each of those with you, but just overall, what drew you to put that on your site? I'm so glad you did.
Oh, thank you. And I am a huge fan of Dr. I call her Dr. G in my head, although I've never met her. I was moved by this article because I back to working with so many brilliant clinicians, many of whom were Black women, because I'm one of those people that I was 40 years old when I first met a Black female physician, and have a great regard for them. So I have a habit of stalking most of them. And one of the things that I consistently saw as many of them went through their careers, as they built their families, was this very syndrome of the Superwoman syndrome. So fast forward as we're looking at what do we want to, we being the BTM team, want to impart to Black birthing people, and that was one of the topics that we wanted to address and one that we have addressed in the virtual education that we provide. So that was the impetus for me, was seeing it firsthand with women like my daughter and many other accomplished Black women, this need to shoulder that burden.
And we're so glad that you did. Speaking of the doctor's name, I had never, like I said, never heard of that, but I was so struck by everything that was in it. I recognized everything that she had researched and proven to be going on in a Black woman's life, but I had never heard of her. And so I actually went out to YouTube and found, and that's why I know she has such a big footprint, because I found her and I found another doctor, one of her colleagues, introducing her. And so that's how I knew Giscombé. That's how I came up with that, because I could not. I was like, I definitely want to recognize her, but I'm a person that likes to, I know that the sound of a person's name is very sweet to them, and I wanted I wanted to honor that. But I wanted you to tell us a little bit of your personal recognition of the signs of a superwoman in the services you provide when you meet with your clients in your service.
Well, I think when we talk about the Superwoman, Paulette, it would be ideal for your audience probably just to ground them in in the context of Black women, Black birthing people. The Superwoman schema is actually a mental health syndrome that disproportionately affects Black women. It can, of course, affect other races, but we see a collective response in Black women. And quite honestly, there's research that shows it can cause severe mental distress. It contributes to often why Black women are, and data shows this, that Black women are hesitant to seek mental health support because, again, I have to shoulder this burden. So when we talk about the Superwoman syndrome or the Superwoman schema, as Dr. G has identified, it's a perceived obligation to present an image of strength that tends to, manifest itself as overworking, neglecting self-care, minimizing our pain, and perceived obligation to suppress our emotions, that we can't show that we are angry or disappointed or, and of course not anger, because we've all seen the stereotype or the trope of the angry Black woman. So even in those instances where we probably have every right to be angry, we suppress that because we don't want to lean into that trope. Mm-hmm. It's also a perceived obligation to resist help or being vulnerable. And where it really plays out for me and our work with BTM is we see it in the postpartum period. That, as one very accomplished mother shared with us during one of our workshops, she had given birth to triplets and felt overwhelmed, highly educated, very successful, and had decided she wanted to be the primary caregiver of her children. And it had hit her in that period that she was sleep deprived and trying to nurse and all the things to not one infant, which is in and of itself a job, but three. And she went to her bathroom, cried, and as she was sobbing, called like a circle of her friends on FaceTime and was sharing with them her vulnerability. And guess what her friends said, Paulette?
Probably not the appropriate thing.
It was not the appropriate thing. And one of the reasons I think I posted this article was probably around that same time frame. Her friends told her to suck it up, that she was so blessed, that you have these three beautiful babies and you have this wonderful husband, and God forbid that your husband should see you weak or vulnerable or not pulled together. And they told her to get in the shower, take a shower, cry in that moment, and then go take care of those babies and look like the dynamic diva that she was. And that's not what we should tell mothers to do, because there's a hormonal release that can lead to, that sense of vulnerability. And then, as I mentioned, taking care of a child is a job. Taking care of multiple children requires a whole other support team. And so that's one of the components of the Superwoman schema is I've got to cook and maintain laundry in my house and all those other things. It also leads to a motivation to succeed despite limited resources. And there's something to be said for having a drive, right? That maybe you don't have everything you need, and you may have, many of us, myself included, may have been born in circumstances that were less than where we are now. And so that drive fed us and gave us the ability to accomplish what we have. But it also can be a double-edged sword, because if I'm trying to succeed despite not having, say, for example, the postpartum village that every birthing mother deserves, that can lead to some unfavorable outcomes. And then the last is prioritization of caregiving. When we talk about how Black women tend to present with advanced cases of cancer or advanced cases of this, that, or the other, is because we've often neglected our self-care, our health, for the betterment of our families. So those are the primary characteristics that Dr. G identified.
Absolutely. And every single one of them, I know, no matter what the race or sexual orientation or anything of anyone who's listening, I'm sure they have seen some of these characteristics, if not more than one, in the people around them. I know I have. I have seen them in my daughters, and to this day, like I said, she has a 4-year-old, and I told her about this podcast because I wanted her to hear from someone other than her nagging mother that this is real, and this needs to be addressed. She's highly accomplished, just not saying that because she's mine, but just a huge work ethic, and not speaking personally to her, but to any woman who will get this podcast, listen to it, go to your site, go to Dr. Giscombé's materials, the resources that she's put out. Huge amounts of research has been done to say, this is not me, nothing's wrong with me. I've just been given the wrong information, and women have for generations, on how I need to be at a certain time, and I don't need to be that way. I need to be looking at, talking to, and speaking with professionals if I need to. I don't need that stigma. But I know that this is why I am now. I know what I can do about it to make a change. And in that way, I wanted to talk about the community and even the nation, because I know that you're community-based, but you also serve the nation through your resources. The fact is, the story that you told about your acquaintance and her friends, that was simply awareness. That was a lack of awareness, because if every one of them, I know they loved her, they cared for her, or she would not have contacted them. They would not have said that had they been aware of something different that they could have said. So how would you speak to the community? Yes.
I think that's a beautiful point that you've made there, Paulette, in that no indictment to those friends or any of those friends who misguidedly tell their girlfriend, oh, girl, suck it up. Because one of the things that Dr. Giscombé has highlighted in her research is that for her research subjects, they talked about the lessons learned from their mothers and aunties and grandmothers and the women in their communities about how to handle stress. So it's been handed down to us, right? And so it's a learned behavior. And so since it's a lifetime of learning, it's going to take us a few attempts to unlearn that, because what they described was, right, and what they were described was that if you show your weakness in asking for help, then you either set yourself up for disappointment because people may not respond in the way that you hope that they will, or they may judge you, right? Or you put yourself at risk of being taken advantage of. So it's not an indictment for those of us who have thought we should say, buckle up and carry on, right? And the other component of it that I don't think we have it on our website. There's a brilliant mental health professional out of Atlanta, Dr. Christopher Holloway. Now that's a tongue twister. And she talks about how historically Black women have been presented with 3 tropes. We're either the Jezebel, we're the Mammy, or we're the strong Black woman. So in the absence of those other two not being particularly appealing for most women, we lean into being the strong Black woman. And I think that's another component of how, as a village, we can start to unlearn our perceptions. So in terms of how family and friends can play a role in supporting that woman who's experiencing the Superwoman syndrome, particularly when what I know in terms of the perinatal postpartum period is first to be observant. I say it's important to quietly step in and help. Don't wait for her to ask. People will often say, tell me if you need anything. But tell me, Paulette, are you really going to tell people if you need anything?
Right.
Maybe you will. You're more evolved. I am not. I will wear myself down to
What you're saying is so true. And like I say, I know my daughter's going to say, why are you? Because I know her so personally. And I was so proud the other day when she said, you know what? A person only has to ask me one time. You know, I said, can I pick, would it help you out there if I pick the baby up from school today? She said, absolutely, it would help.
Yay.
So, there was a time when it was a time when she would have said, oh, no, I can do it, I can make it, whatever. But she's beginning to realize, and that's what that's what awareness is all about. We talk about stopping the silence, stopping the stigma, stopping the suicides and the suffering that can accompany postpartum depression, and we talk about what feeds into the stigma, the silence, the suffering, the stand apart. Mm-hmm. What feeds into that is like the Superwoman Schema.
It is, very much so, very, very much so. So the one is to be observant, offer your help without asking. The other is to be practical about what you offer to help. It's doing the laundry. It's bringing a meal over. It's sending a housekeeping service if that's within your means. And the other piece is to try to do so without implying that she's incapable. So my daughter will tell you that I have told her that I love organizing. And she may listen to this, so I'm going to lean into that. But between you and I really do not. But I do, because I know what it's like to try to organize your life with two little people in it, right? Or talk about how doing laundry is calming for you. And so, yeah, I'll take a load or two for you, that sort of thing. And while we don't want you to tell Mom you need to get rest, because that's sort of dismissive and give me the parameters of how I'm supposed to do that when I'm caring for a newborn, but help encourage that rest by either coming over, doing some of the tasks that we've outlined before, holding the baby so she can take a shower, offering to take the baby for a walk so she literally has the house to herself, right? And then the other is to encourage her to share whatever she's comfortable in sharing and validate that, whatever it is, whatever her feelings are, validate them. They may not be the same as what you and I experience. And then last, if you see that there is an opportunity, encourage her to get professional support.
Right. All of these things we wish we had known so much more before we lost our Christina. And we, of course, hindsight is 20/20, but we are grateful to have organizations like yours, and that's why we build up FOZA, because we stopped saying, what if we had done this, what if we had done that, and we started saying, what if we could reach just one person? And we are talking about the people who are closest to us to the people who we don't even know. And speaking of that, I know that you strive to get the word out in many, many ways. I can tell by all of the information you present on your site. So I know you have events and special projects in 2024 and beyond, and I want you to talk about them a little bit before we have to go.
Oh, gosh, I love talking about them. I'll try to be as succinct as we can. Well, we always have, and just for those who are not familiar with BTM, Birthing the Magic, our purpose is to curate virtual education free with a focus on the needs of Black birthing people. So every other week, at various times during the day and various days during the week, we'll host a workshop that's led by an expert of some sort. We've had literally the physician who wrote or led the research around the use of baby aspirin for preeclampsia lead one of our workshops. Tiny brag. And so we have our workshops, and that's sort of the foundation of our work. And then we look at some of the big initiatives, like in April, Black Maternal Health Week is a week where many doing work in the space will have activities that focus on the needs of Black mothers. And the theme this year was about the autonomy of the Black body. And we hosted a virtual maternal health fair. We had, over 17 workshops, 25 plus experts popped in and shared their insights on everything from postpartum depression and its impact on mama and what does it do to support her, to hair loss, which we often don't talk about, some of the things that we think may be somewhat vain, but hair loss is a natural component of pregnancy. And so that was, and then we have a recording of these events on YouTube. So you can access them at any time and watch them, listen to them, much the way you would a podcast. And then coming up, we have June is Father's Day. We'll have a workshop with dads because quiet as it's kept, men can suffer from postpartum depression. And then we also talk about how men are often erased from what we talk in terms of the care of the mother and how he can come along and be that support for her. So we're doing a workshop specifically for dads in a few weeks for June. July is Black Maternal Mental Health. There's a week in July that we look at the particular experiences of Black women and their journey through the mental health experience. Last year we had a workshop that was not recorded, and it was called How Mama Got Her Groove Back. And we had these amazing mental health professionals that had a just very unvarnished conversation with mamas, and for obvious reasons we didn't record that one. And then August is Black Breastfeeding Week, and we'll have a series of workshops about breastfeeding because it's not as simple as everyone would have us believe. And then we also find in our community that there's some stigma around it, and then we also find that often there's not the support that mama needs from a clinical perspective, because you can almost count on two hands the number of Black professionals who are certified to provide breastfeeding support. Right. And then October is Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month, and we'll spend some time talking about how there's often a stigma around, fertility and infertility and the loss of that infant. November is National Prematurity Awareness Month. Quiet as it's kept, 40% of the babies born who are premature are to Black mothers. And then December we often close with, last year we closed with a lot around embracing tradition and merging traditions, because we found in our experience with couples that we're married a couple of years, and we do what you want to do and we do what I want to do, and our parents leave us alone. But the minute we have a child, my mom wants to impose her family traditions, and his mom, or my partner's mom, wants to impose her family traditions, and we're caught in the middle. So we had a wonderful conversation around that in December of last year, and we'll probably bring back something similar to that in December of this year.
Well, everything you have said, it's something in it positive that will help a birthing person understand what they are going through. They are not alone, and that they can find ways to reduce stress. There was something else very interesting on your site that I wanted to talk about, and that was your art auction. What's that all about?
Oh, my gosh, Paulette, I love you already. We wanted to find something unique. Well, first, I am an avid collector. I will eat ramen noodles. I will eat bologna sandwiches. I will eat whatever I have to. Well, before I got married a second time, so I don't have to do that so much anymore for a piece of art. And I had the privilege of living in Chicago, where there are some amazing artists from the diaspora. So fast forward, what we did as part of our anniversary celebration, we turned a year old officially in April, and we had a big virtual celebration with a wine tasting, blah, blah, blah. And then we launched an online art auction. And so these three phenomenal artists, all of whom from the diaspora, have had wonderful careers. They donated these phenomenal pieces of art for us. And so if you go to our website, you can see them. If you want to arrange a video call with the artists to see the work in their studios on FaceTime, because I tell people the photos do not do them justice. And so we have 3 pieces from, and it's so funny because there are 2 artists by the name of that go by the name of Dio. One is a male, one is a female, and no relation. So we have art by Dio, who is from the Tennessee, Alabama sort of area, and she does this multimedia piece that is just breathtaking. Photos won't do it justice. And then Dio, who is a Nigerian-born artist, has donated this beautiful watercolor of a Nigerian woman wearing and I'll never pronounce it, but the beautiful headdress that Nigerian women wear that's called a jikwe. And then Miss Pearlie Taylor, who is Chicago-based, does these phenomenal pieces that are abstract and very vibrant, and you just could look at them all day and you see something different, but I say they evoke joy. So those are the 3 artists that we have, and the pieces are very approachable in their minimum bid.
Absolutely. So I'm glad you gave us that information. I also saw that you had a fact page out so that listeners can go and get information from the site. And speaking of the site, go ahead and tell us, give us your URL and your contact information, your favorite form of being contacted.
Oh, thank you, yes. So Birthing the Magic, our website is birthingmagic.org, and we can be contacted at hello@birthingmagic.org, or there is a form on the website that you can complete and send, and someone from our team will respond. We are on social media in terms of Instagram. You can follow us on Instagram, message us on Instagram. Facebook is the same, and LinkedIn. We're not on TikTok. We jokingly or half-jokingly say you'll never find any of us doing a little dance on TikTok. But we are on the other 3 platforms.
We're the same. And they say time flies when you're having fun, but time also flies when you're giving good information and you're talking to someone who's full of energy, and that's you. So there's so much that I want to tell you, FOZA fans, so much, but a lot of it you can get from just going to birthingmagic.org. And we're going to have a link up. We know you're going to have it on the FOZA site. Just wanted to thank you again, Marie, for coming on. And I know you have some other plans in the wings that's coming forward, so I know you're going to be back again and tell us. I'm not going to give it away here, but FOZA fans know when I say it's something that's going to be wonderful for advocates and it's going to be big. They're going to keep their ears to the ground, and they're going to be waiting to hear you come back and talk about all of the things that you're going to be doing. It's June, so you've got a lot of activities coming up for every month, and we're going to have you back so you can tell us how it all turned out. Will you come back?
I most certainly will, Ms. Paulette, and thank you first and foremost. I want to humbly thank you for not only inviting me here, but the work that you're doing despite the loss that your family experienced. I'm one of those that I cry, but I read your website. I was so moved, and the resources that you're providing are so needed. And we've never met, but you are one of the women that I just hold up when I think of Proverbs 35. You are doing God's work. So I am so humbly moved by that. And yes, I would love to come back and talk about the work that we're doing and one of the projects that we have began to implement in partnership with another phenomenal woman that I can't wait for you to meet. And so you send the invitation and I'll be there.
I'm just everything you said back at you. And the thing is, we have so much in common, and God led us to each other's paths, and I truly believe that. I appreciate everything that you said, because I could not be here without his love and grace and strength. I could not be here because there were times when I couldn't catch my breath. So I just know that I'll meet people like you. I'll be able to depend on what you're offering to your clients and to the nation, and I know that you will also do the same with FOZA. You know, when someone comes your way and maybe they're in this zip code or whatever, you know we belong to Postpartum Support International, we belong to Moms Congress, and we don't hesitate in making sure that we try to help our moms and all of our birthing people get what they need at the moment they need it. Because, like I said, I can't say it too much. We want to stop the suffering, stop the stigma, stop the shame that goes along with postpartum depression. So I'm going to say farewell. Not going to say goodbye. I'm going to say farewell for now. But you're going to be back, and we can't wait to hear the good news that you're going to be carrying forth. Okay?
Okay. Thank you so much, Ms. Paulette.
Take care.
Well, FOZA fans, you heard it directly from Marie. There are many services and activities they provide locally in Scottsdale, Arizona. That's zip 85250, but also their virtual offerings. That means you can share this positive information nationwide. So check out the beautiful Birthing the Magic collaborative website and connect with them on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And remember, they are a 501c3 organization, so donations are being accepted. Check out their art auction. You'll find a link to BTMC on the FOZA resources page. You are the best audience, and we're so blessed to have you tune in. Please keep doing what you're doing, helping us to stop the silence, the shame, the stigma, and the suffering that can accompany postpartum depression. In loving memory of Christina LaShawn Thompson Adams. Bye-bye.